So we already completed, what do you call it, chapter 5, if you remember. That was with, what do you call it, compound interest and exponential functions. Well, no, excuse me, that was with compound interest and simple interest. And then there was that annual percent yield, I think if I remember correctly, or annual percentage yield. Okay, so now what we're going to do in chapter 6, we're going to move further or go a little more into how math is used, in, I guess, basic finances. Okay. That's what we're going to use here. That's what we're going to see here. All right, so let me just. All right, there we go. So basically here, what we're going to see is we're going to see first what an annuity is, an annuity. We're going to see what it is. I'm not sure if you've seen what that is, though, because the only example of it I could think of is retirement account, but we'll get to that, though. In particular, we'll see what a payout annuity is. That's something else we will see. And we'll get into loans. And really, the only kind of loans we're going to see here are mortgage and auto home loans. In other words, you'll see what I mean when we get to it, though, but we are going to look at loans here. Okay. All right, so let's get started with chapter 6. So first, we're going to look at what's called a savings annuity. The idea here, as you can see, is this. Basically, it's kind of like a retirement account. Let me just check something. Okay, good. I thought the mic was muted for some reason. Oh, someone had a question. Okay. Again, the test won't be available until today between office hours. I'll post it. All right. So basically here, we have a savings annuity. The idea there, as it says here really, is, if you're working at a job or whatever, and each time you get paid, a little bit of money comes out of your paycheck and goes into that special kind of account. That's the idea there. So if you're working in monthly, you're getting you're getting paid monthly, let's say, whatever amount, and a certain a percentage of your paycheck, how much, it depends, but that's going to go into a special account that you have, a retirement account. Okay. Now I have this also where some of my paycheck goes into my retirement account, again, every time I get a paycheck. So, this is something people do. I mean, there's a lot more into it than we're going to go into. We're just going to cover the basics. And I'm sure there's other examples than retirement accounts. But for now, that's all I could think of. And there are going to be assumptions that we're going to make in this chapter, mostly to, how do I say this? Mostly so things don't get too out of hand. But for one, we're going to assume that we're putting equal amounts of money into that account on a regular basis, on a regular schedule. So every time you get paid, like let's say once a month, let's say, the same amount of money from your paycheck, whatever it is going into that special account. And it's happening on a regular schedule. So you're not putting in, your entire paycheck for whatever reason once, then the next month you're putting in like half of it. You're putting the same amount in each time. A regular schedule as well. Let me just get the laser. As well. And you're letting it sit there earning interest. So compounding will occur. We will consider that here in this section. And in a retirement account, I think you actually have to do this. You're letting it sit there earning interest. Mostly because if you take money out of your retirement account, I think that money's not taxed. But basically, I know with retirement accounts, you can't take out the money until you reach a certain age. So, this is something that's realistic. This is something else we're assuming also. We're going to assume the account is being compounded with the same frequency as we're making deposits. Okay. I mean, even though it says unless stated otherwise, but for the most part, that's the issue, though. We're assuming that the account is compounded the same number of times as we're making paychecks, deposits, that is. And also, this actually comes into play as well. Payments, all that stuff will occur at the end of the month. Compounding, monthly deposits, withdrawals, that kind of thing. That all occurs at the end of the month. Okay, there is actually some device we're going to use in a calculator, and that's, well, you'll see what I mean when we get to it. But these are the assumptions that we're making here. Okay, now let me just get us started by considering an example, mostly before, to help us understand what's really going on here. So let's suppose we're going to make monthly deposits of, say, $100, let's say, into this account. Maybe it's a retirement account. I don't know what it is, but it's some kind of account. The account is being compounded monthly. We're making monthly deposits. It's being compounded monthly as well. Once a month. And again, this is all happening at the end of the month. Now, we're also assuming the account is earning a 12% annual interest. So that's basically you can almost think of it as, I guess, from chapter 5, that APR. This is the percent here, the annual interest, the 12%. But this is actually something else. This is the annual interest. It's being compounded monthly. So the monthly interest, you can think of it this way, is 12% divided by 12, which is 1%. Okay, this is what's happening each month. This is the annual interest. So we're dividing by 12, in other words. And basically, this table is just illustrating what's going on. So for instance, during the first month, right, there's nothing in the account initially. We opened it, there's nothing in there. It's compounded once a month, but there's nothing in there. So nothing extra is added to it. Okay? But here's what happens. We make our monthly deposit, though. So then at the end of the month, we have $100 in there. Okay? Again, it starts out with nothing. So from compounding, we get nothing as well. If you take 1% of nothing, you still have nothing. We deposit $100, and that's why our ending balance there is 100. Okay, now we're in month 2. There's $100 in there from the previous month, right? Now remember, this 12% was the annual interest. So every month, we're going to use the percent, 1%, because we're dividing by 12, and we're taking 1% of what's in there. So in other words, how much is going to be added as interest? 1% of 100, which is $1. You can get that by just converting the 1% to a decimal like I did here. You multiply, and you get $1. Okay, after all that's happened, this is all at the end of the month. We then make our monthly deposit. So in the end, we have $201. And that's our new balance from month 3. And it's the same story. You take 1% of this at the end of the month. That's about $2 and a penny. Again, 1%, you're multiplying by 0.01. You add in our monthly deposit of $100. And when you add these together, you're going to get this. $303.01. And it keeps on going. And remember, this is happening monthly. Okay? This is happening monthly. Now, this goes on for, I'm trying to think, maybe a few years, if I remember correctly. I don't know if I wrote that down, but you can assume that. But basically, this is going to keep on happening. Now, notice a few things. For one, since the balance is increasing, the amount of interest we earn is actually increasing as well. Like in the previous chapter where we put some money in the account at the beginning and then let the account compound on its own, doing its own work. We're basically making deposits. And later on in this chapter, we'll see what happens if we make monthly withdrawals. Okay? And of course, the ending balance is going to change. That's kind of obvious, I guess, so to say. But the interest is changing, though, is what I'm saying. Although we kind of expected that as well, because even with compounding, the interest does change, even if we weren't making monthly deposits. But we had something in there, though. Okay, so from these calculations, there is something going on in the background, a so-called general formula, and that's what this is. Again, I did, I'm trying to remember, oh no, wait, maybe I didn't email the notes. Okay, I don't remember if I emailed the notes, so let me do that right now, actually. Okay. I think I might have forgotten to do that, so let me just do that